up, everybody? This is your Cosmic Homegirl, and I'm doing a forecast of the cosmic weather slash the horoscope for the week that begins May 17th of 2020 and ends on May 24th of 2020. So this is just a general forecast for all of us. It's not by sign. So sorry if that's what you're looking for. I do plan on bringing back my videos for horoscopes by sign, the monthly ones, for the month of June. Okay, but those will be available for purchase for a very reasonable and small fee. Okay. I usually charge $3.33 for those. That's one of my lucky angel numbers. So that's what I usually charge for those. So I will be bringing those back in the month of June. Just stay posted for those. I do talk for quite some time about what the energy is like for your sign. So, that means your rising sign, your sun sign, your moon sign, whichever one you decide to look into. Rising sign is the most accurate. Of course, if you have your birth time, then you can know what that is. But if you don't, your sun sign, your regular birthday sign will also be pretty accurate as far as the timing of events. And I dive deeper into how all of this stuff affects you based on that sign. So just be on the lookout for those. I will be posting them soon by the end of the month of May. Okay. Or by the end of May, beginning of June. Because you know what? The way my life is set up, with Uranus striking his lightning bolts all over me, I never know what's going to be happening from one day to the next. I'm telling you, life is wild. And it's like that for all of us right now, with Uranus being in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is a sign that is about stability. And it's about comfort, security, things being the same. You find comfort and security in things remaining the same. And it is our creature comforts, as they say, as human beings. The sign of Taurus rules that, rules our money, rules things that we buy with money, the things that do make us comfy, like our clothes, our pillows and blankies, our comfort foods and everything. So when Uranus is in that sign, all of that is kind of disrupted for all of us as a collective. As you can see what's going on in the world right now, especially in the U.S., which I live in the U.S. and A, as Borat says. And I'm mostly aware of what's going on here. So we have a lot of financial changes happening, and Taurus rules money and finances. So, it's like every day there's something different. Every day the government decides to make changes, and so we just got to take it day by day. You know what I'm saying? The whole world does. Every country is having their own things popping. This is a planetary transit that affects the whole planet Earth. So wherever you're at, I'm sure there's some things that are changing, and the way that you live your life day to day that makes you comfortable and secure is probably disrupted somewhat, and you're having to adjust and adapt, and it's hard. Taurus energy, we are hard-headed and stubborn. Yes, the rumors are true, okay? And we do love our security, and when it's interrupted, it's just, it's not a comfortable feeling. So collectively, everybody is getting a taste of that, is what I'm saying. So yeah, but I am a Taurus. I have 4 planets in Taurus, so I don't know what the hell is going to be going on day by day in life. So that's why I say I plan things, and then life will throw a lightning bolt. Uranus will throw a lightning bolt on my life, and then it's like, okay, new plan, or I'll just go wherever Uranus just threw me. So yeah, but be on the lookout for the June, the monthly horoscopes to return in June, okay? So anyway, what's cracking this week, the 17th through the 24th? Well, let's start with the moon phase, because that's our mood. It's our attitude. It is the vibe. The main vibe in the air is ruled by the moon, because the moon is the closest to us. The sun and the moon are, but the moon is it's closer than the sun, I believe. Okay, I'm not an astronomer, I'm an astrologer. So, but anyway, we see the moon up there chilling in the sky, and she rules emotionally how we're feeling and acting and handling things. So she's in Aries. She's blazing through Aries on the 17th. She through the 17th through the 19th, and she does come into contact with Chiron, the asteroid that's called the Wounded Healer. It's a soft spot for us. It's like where we have been hurt and we're reminded of that pain, but it can also rule healing of that hurt and pain too. So any of those themes can come up when the moon encounters Chiron. I'm recording this on the 17th, and to be honest, yes, I woke up in the morning with some things, some Chiron things kind of hitting me the whole day, and trying to heal from some things. Venus retrograde brings up a lot, okay? She is fully in full retrograde effect, bringing up things that have to do with money and with love and things of the past that have to do with that. She's continuing to trek through there. And she just barely went retrograde a few days ago as I'm recording this. So, this is just the beginning. If anybody's experiencing that too, this is just the beginning. A lot of stuff has been coming up, a lot for a lot of people. I've had friends reach out to me and other people reach out to me, and just tell me, report what's going on, with their reviewing things to do with relationships and how they've handled them. They're reviewing like what they've allowed themselves to experience within relationships as well, and how they've allowed themselves to be valued by others, which Venus rules. So it's like, have you been allowing a bunch of bullshit, and to be undervalued, or you know what I'm saying? Or have you undervalued other people? Like, there's a lot of reflection being done. And also financially too. That's been coming up as well for people. Venus retrograde, it's been cracking in my 8th house, and I'm gonna share a little something with you guys. I ended up driving by one of my last places of living, and I was absolutely miserable when I was living there. I was still in a relationship, and that relationship ended while we were living in that house. And I drove by there. I ended up driving by there. I had some business to handle in that area, and I don't know, I decided to just drive by there. I hadn't been by that place since we moved out, and it was a very painful moving out process. It was excruciating because it was moving out because of a breakup. Like, that's always excruciating when you go through that. So a lot of memories are brought back, and we were in a very tough financial situation when we were living there, and I was just grinding so hard, working so hard, and I worked a job that was so strenuous, like physically and mentally and emotionally. Like, it was draining, and all the memories of that came flooding back, and it was just crazy, all the stuff that I felt. And I felt like, oh my God, I'm torturing myself, you know what I mean? But it's like, at the same time, I was like, you know what? I kind of need to feel this. I felt like I needed to go through that torture. 8th house tings, right? Scorpio tings, because it's like the process of letting go is painful, and sometimes you have to be reminded of some things. So it's like I've kind of went back to some old places to where things were going on at certain times that have to do with money, have to do with relationships, and oh my gosh, it brought back a lot. But it's like things came to the surface that maybe weren't dealt with before, and I wasn't able to yell out and feel passionately about them. And I got a lot of that stuff out, and it helps. So Venus retrograde is not all bad. Yes, things, people, and feelings from the past can come back, which isn't always pretty. A lot of people like to just keep things moving. You know what I'm saying? And things being brought back from the past, like, when you think about that or when you hear about that. But it can be very healing. Yes, indeed. Okay. So I just thought I would share that with you guys, and if you guys are going through anything Venus retrograde related, my heart goes out to you. I wish you the best in healing from anything, especially if you are in the Chiron in Gemini generation, which I think is somewhere in the 1980s, I believe, like in the mid 80s. Yeah. The mid 80s, Chiron in Gemini generation, mid to late 80s. You guys, Venus, if it's hitting your Chiron, ooh, my heart really goes out to you because Venus retrograde is enough. Okay. So anyway, moving right along, the moon is in Aries through the 19th, and the moon will eventually make square aspects to Pluto and Jupiter still in Capricorn. Moon square Pluto days can make you a little paranoid. Moon square Jupiter days can make you, it can expand anything that you're feeling in either a negative or positive way. The square is usually in a challenging way. Maybe your challenge is you are thinking too much, you're feeling too much, you are just doing the most. It's like the moon square Pluto and Jupiter. Maybe you could be thinking too much in a very paranoid manner, that makes you defensive, which Aries is like a defensive war type of energy. So just be careful on that day, on the 18th. The 18th and through the 19th, of like your feelings being making you do too much, and be like rawr when you don't really need to be, if that makes sense. Okay. So on the 19th, this is when the moon moves into Taurus. It may be the 20th if you live further east in the world, but the moon moves into Taurus where it remains for a couple days. The moon will come into a conjunction with Uranus, mostly on the 20th. Yeah, like, during the day on the 20th. But moon in Taurus days, every month when we have the moon in Taurus, usually it's pretty chill. But at first, the moon, she encounters Uranus, and Uranus has no chill, okay? Uranus is crazy. It's erratic energy. It's nervous energy. It's sudden changes, it's surprises, whether good or bad. So, the moon encountering Uranus, our mood can be like I talked about in the beginning, with our comforts being disrupted, our feeling secure being disrupted. Overall, as a collective, with Uranus just being in the sign of Taurus. But when the moon hits, though, it's like our mood, we could be worried. The moon can rule sometimes being very worrisome, what goes on in the back of your mind, and what comes to the forefront, subconsciously too, like emotionally, how you're like perceiving things and stuff. So maybe you can have feelings on the 20th of like being worried about your money and your finances and your security in some sort of way, like some things being taken away, and the moon is also making a square to Saturn when it first goes into Taurus. I would say more so on the 19th, the moon square Saturn. More on the 19th, the moon square Saturn is in effect, because Saturn's at 1 degree Aquarius. So once the moon hits like especially 0 to 1 degrees of Taurus, then that's when we have that. So there could be definitely the feelings of like the 19th into the 20th of being worried about your financial security and worried about stability in whatever situation that you're in life. Okay. Also on the 19th, that's the day that the sun is at 29 degrees of Taurus. And the 29th degree, I always tell you guys, it's like it's a critical degree. They call it in astrology, anaretic degree. So it's the sun finishing up its run through Taurus, basically. The 29th degree, yeah, that's like super edgy energy. Whenever there's a planet at 29 degrees, it's mad edgy. So people can be edgy about Taurus ruled things, as I mentioned before, with Uranus, the moon and Uranus, especially on the 19th. So don't play with anybody's money, okay? Don't play with anybody's emotions, all right? Quote from the movie Friday from Big Perm. Don't play with money and emotions on the 19th, let me tell you. And don't let anybody play with yours either, okay? So yeah, that is the 19th. And then on the 20th, this is when the sun goes into Gemini. So this is when people are going to be sharing all the memes, talking about it's Gemini season. Now the Geminis are here and blah, blah, blah. Which, of course, yeah, it just means more Gemini energy is being added into the mix. As we know here, you know how we do, okay? We already know we've had Mercury in Gemini. We have Venus in Gemini. We have the North Node in Gemini for another year and a half. Venus in Gemini, she's going to be in Gemini for a hot minute through August of this year. She's been there since the month of April, I believe, in Gemini. So yeah, and then Mercury is here too. Like, come on, Gemini season, quote unquote, has already been in effect, okay? But once the sun steps in, it is a very powerful life force, the sun. So Gemini energy is really being beamed and bestowed down upon us, So this is a time when, yes, a lot more people are a lot more mental activity. People are chatty. People have shorter attention spans. People are sharing more jokes and memes and stuff like that. People are not going to be too much into deep conversations or emotional depth. It's like lighthearted, fun, jokester, court jester energy. I always say Geminis are the freaking court jesters of the zodiac, okay? They really are some funny people. So we all are going to be experiencing that energy. The sun will be in Gemini until June 20th. So from the 20th of May to the 20th of June, sun in Gemini. So happy birthday in advance to all my crazy Geminis. Oh my gosh, I love you guys. Actually, if I'm gonna be real honest, like real, keeping it 100, I have a love-hate with Gemini energy because you guys are my 8th house. I always call the 8th house the house of love and hate. You have an extreme on either side for the qualities of that sign that makes up your 8th house. So I have it for Gemini and Cancer. Some Cancer energy falls in there too, but Gemini and Cancer, yes. But Gemini's most def. But let me tell you, I do love some Geminis. I can vibe with you guys over, certain things. Also, because I have the sun conjunct Mercury in my chart. Mercury rules Gemini, and the sun is a big part of your personality. So I'm not a Gemini, but I can relate to Gemini energy to some degree. Okay, not fully, but to some degree. And let me tell you, you guys are really dope people when it comes to being entertaining, when it comes to keeping things moving in life and encouraging people to just keep things moving. You guys are really dope with being quick-witted. And just the wit and humor thing, I just find just to be so attractive about Gemini energy. You guys are fun. You guys are bubbly. You guys like to try new things. You guys switch things up. So happy birthday in advance to all Geminis for spreading your little fairy elf dust everywhere upon this planet Earth. But I will say the downside of Gemini energy being in full effect is people may be more prone to gossip, okay? More prone to just say things because in the moment it just sounds good, it sounds good in the moment. And in the moment you may mean what you say, but then once that moment passes, you may think for some reason in your mind like your words just flew out there with the wind and they're gonna freaking disappear. But you have to keep in mind when there's all this Gemini in the air that no, a lot of people do take your words in and they believe what you say and they expect follow through. And that could be very hard for Gemini energy, for Mercurial energy. Like I said, I have the sun conjunct Mercury, so I understand. A lot of times, Mercurial energy makes your mind move so fast that you can really forget things like that. So when we have all this in the mix, especially through the end of May, for like another week or so, because then Mercury switches to Cancer. But while we have 3 planets and then 1 major point in the sign of Gemini, be very careful with your words. Don't just say shit just to say it, okay? And with other people's words, I know it's hard to say this, but like don't take everybody too seriously. I know I don't want to give the advice of, oh, just accept bullshit from people, but a lot of people may be on their BS and just, you know what I'm saying? With the wind, just, oh yeah, haha, and then forget. And then the next moment they're on to something else. So a lot of that energy will be in the air, you guys, love it or hate it, it will be in the mix. So what's good with all this Gemini energy, I would say is definitely, being able to keep your life moving, amongst intense emotional events. You know what I'm saying? It can help with that. Also, enjoy all the humor, the wit. We have a lot of serious things going on in the world, but one thing I can tell you is having Gemini energy in the mix while we do, what it is good for is keeping us entertained, keeping us enjoying the memes, making the memes and being lighthearted, cracking jokes about it. It's no joke at all if people are dying, people are sick, people are losing out on money, of course. But this energy does help us to pull through it and it not be so heavy and intense all the time, like 24/7, because we're able to have moments of being lighthearted, So yeah, so the sun in Gemini from the 20th of May until the 20th of June. But I must warn, though, that the sun, when it steps into Gemini, it is making a square aspect to Mars. Actually, even when it's in the last couple degrees of Taurus, if I'm going to be a technical nerd here, it is making a square to Mars. Sun square Mars. This is the two most masculine planets that we have above us, ruling masculinity, and they're squaring off against each other. Okay, the term, hey, square up. When people say square up, that means let's fight, let's scrap, let's box. You know what I'm saying? Let's throw them, let's throw down. Yeah, so that's kind of an energy that can be in the air with the sun squaring Mars. Now, Gemini and Pisces are mutable energy. They're not the most strongest energies for the sun and Mars to be in, as far as being uberly masculine and wanting to scrap. But just those two planets squaring off in general, it can cause friction, tension, frustration. And some people may be like, today I got time, okay? Especially if you are a mutable sign. If you are Gemini, Pisces, Sag, or Virgo, you may be more susceptible to feeling like it's time for war, you know what I'm saying, with these two freaking masculine ass energies, like just rawr, you may feel like that. Mars and Pisces is, I'm a lover, not a fighter, just like Michael Jackson, who was a Pisces moon, okay, and possibly Pisces rising. It's the I'm a lover, not a fighter Mars, but still, so it may not be so strong, but still, some people will be feeling it. So Sun square Mars, it steps in the ring, of the Gemini energy, and then it's squaring Mars, and that'll be going on through the rest of the week. I'm only covering through the 24th, but still, especially like next week is gonna be even stronger with the Sun square Mars. So just prepare for that tension, you guys, for real. Okay, so also on the 20th, we have Venus square Neptune. So Neptune is at 2039 of Pisces on that day. Yeah. And Venus is going retro. She's still retrograde. Now she's retrograde on this day. She's retrograde back to the 20th degree. And she keeps going backwards, So I would say like in the afternoon, especially, just to be an exact nerd. Like over here on the west coast of the US, it's like in the afternoon. But it may be like, later on, if you're somewhere else more east. But yeah, Venus square Neptune. So this is a repeat energy. This is an energy actually that's been lingering for a minute. And it's been lingering, I think, since the end of April, I want to say. Yeah, since like the end of April, and then in the beginning of May, especially May 6th. Yeah, May 6th. Of 2020, this was Venus was at the 20th degree squaring Neptune. Yo, let me just tell you guys, the veil is so thin when anything has a harsh or major aspect to Neptune. The veil is so thin between this realm, the physical, the 3D, and this like spiritual and that realm, the 5D. If you're not a believer in any of that, then cool, whatever. But let me just tell you and testify that it is all the way real. Okay, so questioning reality is a huge theme with this, especially because Venus rules physical things, and Neptune, it rules non-physical things. It rules feelings and emotions and receiving those little SOS from people. Like you pick up on their emotions and stuff. It's all the way real, okay? If you're tuned in and tapped into that, even if you're not, you probably will feel a little something, feel some things. But if you're more practical, you may be the type to just brush it off. But it is absolutely all the way real. The veil being thin between the spirit realm and the physical realm when we've got this pop in. So what does that mean for us in layman's terms? Okay, well, anything involving love or money with Venus square Neptune, you may question a lot. You may question reality, what's real, what isn't. Question your feelings for someone. Question if an offer of something, either an offer of love or an offer of money, is it for real? So if you receive any offers of either around the 20th, be very cautious and very careful. Make sure you're seeing it for what it really is or for who they really are. There could be some misunderstanding, some confusion with Venus square Neptune, confusion in love situations. Yo, that has been, oh my God. Like, I don't want to get too personal, but yo, I am just not reading from a book, okay? I'm not regurgitating data I read from a website or anything, you guys. This is real life. Like, for real, the misunderstanding, miscommunication, things getting misconstrued, miss anything is freaking Neptune. Okay, even missing someone, literally, like you miss their presence or something, can be Neptune. So people could be feeling all those things during this square. Be careful, be mindful of your physical items, your material things that you like, anything big or small. Okay, you can lose track of them, or when the veil is thin, boundaries are knocked down when we have a square to Neptune. So other people with their shady asses may not see the boundary between themselves and yo stuff. Okay, that can mean anything. Your vehicles. So lock your doors, hide your wife, hide your kids, all that stuff from what's his name? What's that dude's name? Hide your wife, hide your kids, hide your husbands. Hide your dog because they raping everybody else. What's that dude's name? I forgot his name by now, but he was, he had a little 15 seconds of fame. But yes, protect your belongings, okay? And even protect them from your own self losing track of them. Losing your debit or credit cards, losing your glasses, losing your keys, losing your wallet, losing money over stupid decisions too. Okay, like making dumbass purchases. Venus square Neptune, you're confused about money and things that you want. It may not be something that you really need. Wants versus needs can be a Venus themed thing. And then like the square to Neptune and it's retrograde. Yo, it could be off the chain with just like dumb purchases. Let me tell you. Also, Venus square Neptune and Venus is fully retrograde. Yes, if anyone in a love situation, if someone's approaching you with anything, like telling you things, you need to be mindful that some of these motherfuckers out here will be lying, okay? Like, look, I will tell you the good and the bad always. Some of these fools will be lying, or foolettes. It doesn't matter. When I say foo, that could be a guy, but it could also be a girl. Some people can just be completely dishonest, giving you a sob story. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to try to win you back, win you over if you just met them, or win you back if it's someone coming back with the retrograde motion. Just be careful with that, you guys, okay? Venus retrograde and then the square to Neptune, it can make people feel a lot of empathy and regret and remorse, and they can come back with apologies, okay? Now, I'm not saying everybody's a liar and nobody is legit with it. Some people can be. But some people, especially, I'm sorry to say, if they are mutable signs themselves, they can actually, any sign, anybody, okay, can just be dishonest in any type of way. So just be mindful of that. And then we've got Mercury building up to having a square to Neptune. The same day that Venus is exactly square Neptune, Mercury is technically squaring Neptune by degree. It's not exact, but it's still in effect. So Mercury rules communication, speaking, words, so, and then we've got Venus retrograde, like, yo, just really be careful this week, you guys, with perceiving things the wrong way, miscommunications, misunderstandings, and deception. If you yourself are prone to deception, you need to check yourself, okay? Like, seriously, don't do anything that is deceiving or say anything that is deceiving to others purposely, all right? And if other people are acting like this to you, you know what? You have to see it how it is and for who they are and everything. Don't allow yourself to be played, okay? So, Venus square Neptune, another thing about it, like good things about Venus square Neptune, it is a square aspect, which is quote unquote negative, but um, the creativity that comes out is high. You know, there's higher levels of it. So any creativity, dance, photography, video, manipulation of photos or video. Even people like to, escapism is Neptune. Venus square Neptune can make people more prone to escapism, maybe through video games, visuals that help you to escape in your mind to somewhere else. Like, yeah, like watching movies, video games, or even music, escapism through music. But yeah, if you are creative, Venus can be it can rule creativity to a certain extent too. And then the aspect to Neptune, it opens up the gates of Neptune, speaking to Venus. So, that could be good. It can be good for some people if you're a highly creative person, and highly intuitive person too. Now, Venus square Neptune, the psychic ability of it all, especially if you are in any type of like romantic situation, relationship, connection. I'm just going to tell you this. If you are feeling, you can feel each other's feelings. You could just know things. Even though it's a square, the psychic ability is off the chain and you can just know things. Okay. One day I will share more stories about stuff like this once I have some things figured out, because I don't just teach astrology and talk about it from reading books. I've read books and I've read a lot of stuff and I've taken classes and I've learned, and now it's mostly experience of my own and observations of other people's experiences that are the greatest teachers to me. And especially experiencing things and journaling and feeling the transits, how the transits actually feel and act in real time, in real life. One day when I have some things figured out, I will talk more about certain things to do with the relationship stuff and, the square to Neptune. I mean, and not just the square to Neptune, but like the stuff I'm talking about. But if you are feeling like you know what someone's feeling, especially around the 20th, like someone's aiming energy at you, but they're not saying anything. Unspoken is Neptune. And Venus is one-to-one relationships with others. So there can be a lot of things that are unspoken that are messages are still being delivered. If that makes any sense at all. So you can question this a lot. This can be confusing, but just know that there can be some messages that come through that are legit when we have these two planets aspecting each other, sending energy back and forth. Okay? So, Venus square Neptune on the 20th. It's a repeat of things going on around the 6th of May. So if you can recall back to then, what was going on, there could be something that's brought up again, or something that's repetitive. Okay, so on the 22nd, this is when, so we still have the moon in Taurus. The 20th, the 21st, the moon will make good aspects to Pluto and Jupiter, good aspect to Neptune. So we may have a little bit more of an easygoing day on the 21st, which would be dope. And then on the 22nd, that's when the moon moves into Gemini, like in the wee hours of the morning, I believe, over here. Yeah. The moon moves into Gemini, and then we have a new moon in Gemini. So the new moon is when the sun and moon are together in the same sign at the same degree, okay? And they create energy that welcomes in new beginnings, But sometimes there could be a clearing out of something to old to welcome in the new. I'm discovering that about new moons. We always talk about new moons, new beginning. Well, sometimes there's some shit that has, what I'm saying, that goes away in order to welcome in new and make the grounds for newness to grow more. They can flourish more. Okay, you can cultivate more. So anyhow, there's a new moon in Gemini. So for everybody, it may mean something different. Collectively, a new moon with new beginnings with how you communicate with other people, with how you, how you process things logically, and communication and stuff. I mean, that's just very general with the new moon in Gemini. Now, this new moon, it does make a square aspect to the Mars in Pisces, and it does make a good trine aspect to Saturn in Aquarius. So even though Gemini energy is normally like very, it's like court jestery and very lighthearted and stuff, but it is making some aspects to planets that don't F around, okay, that are about business. Mars is about marching ahead. Okay, that's what Mars is about. Action. It's about that action, that movement. Mars and Saturn are both planets that are associated with the military. So this new moon can have people feeling not so lighthearted, not so goofy like Gemini could be, but more about, okay, how can we proceed forward in like a more of a serious manner? Okay, so like, the trine to Saturn could be about enforcing, like not enforcing, but laying down some rules and some structures for things in life. Anywhere where, this lands in your chart. But just in general, putting some rules into place, okay? And then Mars is about the physical act of enforcing the rules or having the drive to enforce what you're laying down, foundations or whatever. So, yeah, the new moon is going to be squaring Mars and squaring, trine Saturn. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been talking for a little too long. Getting a little, woo. Okay. So anyway, let me just get my point across. There's a new moon on the 22nd, okay? And it's about getting things done, getting things put into place and moving forward. Okay, so whatever it does for you personally is going to depend upon where Gemini is in your chart, and also where Pisces is, and also where Aquarius is with these planets, but mostly the Gemini. And there's a big emphasis on Gemini energy. Also on the 22nd, Mercury is in a conjunction with Venus, and Mercury and Venus are both squaring Neptune. Okay. So this could be this could be tricky, very tricky energy. It could be super creative because Mercury rules your hands, like the skills of your hands, right? And then Venus is beautifying things and, creativity and making things aesthetically pleasing. And just anything pleasing to the five senses. So that can be aesthetically or, through sound or whatever. So Mercury conjunct Venus is beautiful, okay? Because you can create some nice things. Even Venus rules like food and stuff. So you can like be on top of your chef game on that day or something. You know what I'm saying? But they are squaring Neptune, so that is challenging. But it can also create beautiful things when it comes to art and stuff like that. And this can also mean like, the abilities, the messages that come through to you, if you are someone who's in tune with things like that, they can be pretty on point, But yeah, there's definitely still like there can be confusion, there could be questioning of reality, there could be a crossing of boundaries, habitual line steppers. I was reminded of that the other day with talking to my homegirl about Dave Chappelle's the Dave Chappelle show when he had Charlie Murphy on there, may he R.I.P. And the True Hollywood Stories, and he was talking about Rick James. And he was saying Rick James was a habitual line stepper and he always had to check him. So anyway, I don't know why I just thought of that, because Neptune can dissolve boundaries and people can be step over the line, you know, and just like intrude and invade upon your space, your stuff, whatever. So anyway, just be careful with that, okay, with other dealings with other people. But yes, creativity, psychic ability on point with this combination here. But there could be, you know, just take things with a grain of salt. Oh my god, I'm getting so jumbled with my words, you guys. But yeah, there's good and bad with that day, okay? Anyway, sorry. All right. So that's the 22nd, and then we have on the 24th, that's when the moon moves into Cancer. So the moon moves into Cancer. It's like later in the day. And the moon the moon rules the sign of Cancer. So the moon is at home in Cancer, so it's like all about, you know, being comfy, being at home, being a big old baby, okay, wanting to be fed and taken care of, or being in a more maternal energy, nurturing, motherly. You either crave that from other people with someone giving that to you, or you crave to give that to other people. That's the moon in Cancer, so it could be a pretty chill day. Okay, but anyway, I'm gonna sign off here. I hope you guys have a really good week. Take care, you guys. Stay Rona free out there. And don't give in to the madness if you're being if you're where you're at is being like opened up again. Okay, just chill and wait a little bit before you start intermingling with all the crazy people. Okay, all right, love you guys.